Hey, welcome to week 2 of Atomic, where we're talking about how tiny things can make a huge difference. Every day we wake up with a certain amount of energy. Once you actually wake up and start functioning like a real human, you've got a lot of energy to work with. But then the pressure begins. There's the pressure to pick out your outfit, interact with your family without getting into a fight, getting out the door on time, answering that text that you've been putting off. But what else drains your energy throughout the day? By the end of that day, you've given so much of your time and energy that you've left with only a tiny bit to give. And as the day goes on, it makes sense that you'd be a bit snappy with other people. For most of us, we probably have some bad habits when it comes to the way we treat other people. Especially when we are under pressure, we can get short-tempered, ignore people, put ourselves first, invest less in our relationships. Our relationships have a big impact on our lives and faith. But when we fail to develop good habits when it comes to our relationships, we're missing out on a big opportunity to grow. So how can we develop better habits when it comes to our friends and family? That's what we're going to be talking about and finding out today. Everyone has habits, even when you don't notice them. But sometimes when life hits us with a jolting experience, our habits are often revealed under pressure, especially the bad habits. So let's run through a few scenarios, and for each one of these questions, what would you do? All right, here's the first one. You're running late. Someone is texting you. You know they want a quick answer back, but you're busy. What would you do? Yeah, you're having a hard time. Do you ask someone for help or spend time alone? Something really painful just happened. A family member asks how you're doing. How do you respond? A friend hurts or betrays you one day, but sends a friendly text the next day. What would you do? See, high pressure situations can make or break our relationships. So what kind of habits can we develop now so our relationships don't break when we're under pressure? See, there's a moment in scripture where Jesus speaks to his friends. He's under a lot of pressure and he knows his disciples are about to be under a lot of pressure too. This conversation is captured by one of his disciples, John. See, Jesus has a lot to say to his friends in this passage because he knows the time is coming when he's going to die and his followers will face a huge crisis. And to help prepare them for what's coming, Jesus talks about their friendships with God and each other. He even gives them a strategy to help strengthen their relationships with each other. In the book of John, chapter 15, 9-13, it says this: "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in love, my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." Now, I don't know if you've ever thought of someone that's important to you and thought, yeah, I would die for them. But that's the kind of commitment Jesus is encouraging us to make to each other. But massive, dramatic, over-the-top displays of love aren't exactly what Jesus is talking about here. That's one way to love someone, but you can't really make it a habit to die for someone. That's something you can only do once, max, right? Instead, let's think about the little, almost invisible atomic ways that we can love each other, because we can definitely make it a habit to love each other in small but powerful ways. We don't have to literally die for someone in order to make sacrifices for them, but we can love one another with simple, everyday sacrifices. And a long time before Jesus arrived on earth, the biblical book of Ecclesiastes was written by a guy named Solomon, one of the wisest men to ever live. Let's see what he says about friendship. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9-12 says this: "Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." The idea that we need each other isn't new. See, God created us for relationships, and the benefits are pretty amazing and practical. When you've got a friend, you have support. If you are alone and face a major challenge, defeat, or hurt, you're going to have a hard time handling it on your own. It might even be impossible, but when we are struggling to stand, the people we love can hold us up. You have defense, right? We all need people in our corner, especially when life's pressures get the best of us. Investing in others might be easier to understand if we break it into these 3 words: time, communication, and work. Time. You can invest in the people who matter to you by spending time with them, and not just when it's convenient for you. Communication. You can invest in them by being open, honest, and clear with your words. Work. You can invest in them by being willing to put in effort when things get challenging or they need you to support or defend them. So first, choose a habit you want to develop, maybe one here, and then try to attach it to a habit you already have. So let's think about those daily routines that would be great to start stacking from. Every day, maybe you brush your teeth, charge your phone, take a shower. Hopefully you do those every day. Feeding your pet, riding the bus to school, doing homework, opening TikTok, or eating dinner. If your first block is a current habit like getting on TikTok, and your second block is your new habit like asking a friend how they're doing, what do you think would be the result might be? What are some ways your relationships could be transformed if you invested in them more often? What kind of impact do you think you could make in someone's life when all of your small investments begin to add up? Remember, laying down your life for someone doesn't have to be a big, grand gesture. Small things are powerful too. So what are some ways that you can personally be transformed if you made it a habit to invest in others? Do you think you might become a little bit more kinder, more selfless, more compassionate? What are some ways your faith could be transformed if you invested in the right relationships? If you focus your investments on people who help you stick close to God, how might your relationship with God transform over time? Remember, Jesus said that when we obey his commands, we stay close to him. And one of his commands is to love other people well. See, last week we saw that when you spend time with God consistently over time, you can't help but be transformed. That's what God's Spirit does, right? But this week, let's think about how when we invest in other people consistently over time, our relationships can't help but be transformed. So this week, give it a try. No matter who you've decided to invest in or how, make it a habit to invest in people.